welcome to Thai PBS World Tonight. I am Tulip Nak Sompoplao, live from the studio in Bangkok, and we also have Nat Bunnak joining us from home. สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you today?
Feeling okay, still feeling a bit of irritation from the dust levels from yesterday. So I'm
Today
just
is
trying
not that
to
much better too.
exactly like when I woke up this morning, I just saw like the sky is like full of dust, and I feel some sort of irritation right now. So I'm just trying to drink more like hot liquids instead. So I hope it will get better soon. But I can still like read the news and present the news as usual.
It's like you wake up in the morning, you look out of your window, and instead of seeing some clear sky, it's very dusty to the point that it looks like a painting.
Yeah,
Very
I would
blurry.
say that too. Because when you wake up in the morning, you would expect a very clear sky, but everything was like, hey, why is it so foggy today? But then you have another thought is that, oh, it's because of the dust levels.
Yep. Anyway, let's get to it. This is the special edition that we will cover all the related news on COVID outbreak in Thailand. And what is the latest number today, Nat?
And today, there are 188 new COVID-19 cases recorded today. At the same time, there are 628 people who have recovered from the disease as well. So according to the CCSA spokesperson, Dr. Tawisin Wisnuyotin, he said today that the new infections are 154 locally acquired, including 73 cases found during the proactive screening and 81 cases among those under observation. There are also 21 arrivals from abroad who are infected and in state quarantine, as well as 13 people who were arrivals from Myanmar. The imported cases also include 6 from Germany, 3 from Turkey, and 1 each from the Philippines, Belgium, Sudan, Russia, Switzerland, the United Arab Emirates, Pakistan, Hungary, the United States, Egypt, and Kuwait. And among the local transmissions, Samut Sakhon tops the list with 47 cases, and that includes 33 migrant workers, followed by Bangkok, which found 27 cases today. And so far, there are 17 provinces that is free from any infections in the second outbreak, which started in mid-December. And there are also 20 provinces that have not reported a new infection for 7 days. As for the total number of infections in the second outbreak are 7,213, with 4,348 recoveries and 2,856 are still being treated in hospitals, and 9 people have died since the second wave began. Meanwhile, the Bangkok Metropolitan Administration reported today that there have so far been 123 infections connected to an entertainment venue cluster scattered over 5 districts. And that includes 2 health officials who were infected because some of the infected people withheld details of their association with high-risk venues. Most of the infected are employees and customers of 2 entertainment venues that is New Jazz Plaza and Nong Mai Plaza, which have branches in Bang Plat, Thonburi, Bang Khae, Hoi Kwang, and Bang Khaw Lam districts. So you can see that most of the new infections came from clusters as well as the venues that you will see large gatherings.
Right.
So you can see, like, remember the Rayong incident and all these places, most of the infections came from specific clusters where you would see large gatherings in some of the venues. And Bangkok is actually not any different because most of the new infections came from entertainment venues, which the government and many authorities have already been warning that these places should be avoided in order to prevent themselves from being infected from the virus.
I think at large we can see that there is a group from the night entertainment and there is a group from gambling dens, and there is another group from illegal border crossing. It's, we cannot say just migrant workers because there is also a problem of Thai workers that cross border to work in Myanmar and now trying to come back here illegally through some natural channels. But right now, every province is on the border is trying to fix that problem. So today, the Prime Minister had a meeting conference with the governor of Tak province discussing this specifically because Tak is having problem with the Thai workers that was working in Mewadi township of Myanmar, and now there are numbers of them that try to come back illegally, so now they try to make everything, get everything into the system. So according to the governor, there have been 100 infections so far, of which 81 are Thai returnees from Myanmar, and 67 have been admitted to hospital in Mae Sot district. 3 community hospitals are on standby and can accommodate up to 108 patients with room to increase the number of inpatient beds to 300. There are also 200 beds in a field hospital and 244 rooms in local quarantine facilities. Tak province has tightened its border security with troops, police, and local officials being deployed to patrol the 500-kilometer border with Myanmar to interdict illegal border crossings by both Thais and Myanmar people. So anyone that went to Myanmar illegally, right now they are asking to just get in touch with the official, the Myanmar official, Thai official in Myanmar, and come back here legally. We already reported to you a couple weeks ago that these Thai people can come back legally. They just have to pay some fine to the Myanmar government and then come back and get into quarantine process. And if everyone get into the system, we should be able to contain this at the area along the border.
Definitely. And in related news, although there are a large number of illegal migrant workers in Thailand at the moment, today there's a registration for the illegal migrant workers, which starts today already. So the illegal migrant workers from Myanmar, Laos, and Cambodia who entered Thailand before December 29th can register online from today until February 13th. So they can be documented and issued with pink work permits, which will allow them to work legally in Thailand for 2 years without fear of arrest. Thailand's Labor Minister Suchachomklin said today that all illegal migrant workers will have to undergo health screening for COVID-19, as well as 6 other communicable diseases as specified by the Ministry of Public Health and buy health insurance coverage for 2 years. He also assured that all the illegal migrant workers who register will not face any legal action, but he warned that those who refuse to register and are subsequently caught will be deported. The documentation of illegal migrant workers, especially those coming from Myanmar, was introduced by the Thai government as a means to contain the spread of COVID-19 and to encourage the workers to come forward for health screenings. So we previously reported that people often blame the migrant workers for the spread of the COVID-19, especially in the second outbreak here. So what we're seeing here is that they try to make things right by telling the illegal migrant workers to register so that they can legally work in Thailand for 2 years.
I think the best way to manage anything that go underground or go in the dark, like dark market or anything illegal, is just to make it legal. So we can be able to oversee or monitor what's going on the surface. So I think that is what the government is trying to do.
Right.
So now let's talk about Kanchanaburi. Kanchanaburi is one of the provinces that also has a lot of new infected cases. So they just order all the hotels and similar kind of business to close. Yesterday, the governor of Kanchanaburi province, Jirakiat Phummisawat, issued an order to close all hotels and resorts immediately and until further notice, including businesses that function like a hotel. However, the hotels that are being used as local quarantine facilities will remain in operation. He gave the explanation in the order. He said that the latest COVID-19 outbreak has already spread to many provinces, with infections still increasing. As Kanchanaburi is a tourist destination which attracts large groups of travelers, the order has been imposed to limit the spread of the contagion. Those who breach the order will be subject to 1 year in prison and or a fine up to 100,000 baht, and 2 years in prison and or a fine up to 40,000 baht under the emergency decree. In a separate order, a few exceptions have been made. Hotels which still have guests in residence can continue to operate until all guests check out, and no new guests will be allowed. Hotels which still have guests must provide their guest names to the local administration and ensure that strict social distancing and sanitization measures are followed. So when you heard about the hotel order to be closed, for Kanchanaburi is different from what we heard in the news in Pattaya or in Chanthaburi when they try to ask the mayor or the governor to order the closure so their employee can get social benefit or government subsidy. But this is a different case. Kanchanaburi is trying to control the outbreak or limit the movement from outsiders by closing all the hotel or the similar kind of facilities.
We can see like two sides of it, because on the hotel side, if we look at the business perspective, if they close down, they will lose a lot of revenue. And in cases like Kanchanaburi, there are still hotel guests inside the hotel which have not checked out yet. So, but on the other side of it, as you just mentioned, because of the COVID-19 outbreak, it's better to be safe than sorry. So the best way is to close down the hotels for a while until further notice. So there is some sort of conflict going on in Pattaya, I believe, but in Kanchanaburi, they decided to close all the hotels, but some exemptions are made because there are still some hotel guests still in some places, so that's why they made the exemption, and they said that it's okay if you still have guests, but you cannot welcome new guests. So that is what they actually did.
Yes.
And there's another local government who has decided to acquire COVID-19 vaccines using their own budget. So recently, the municipal administration in Pattaya is planning to allocate 80 million baht to acquire COVID-19 vaccines to inoculate 120,000 people in the city, easing the government's workload in handling the newest outbreak. So the mayor of Pattaya, Sonthiya Kunpluem, said each dose will cost 300 baht, requiring 80 million baht to inoculate 120,000 people. He confirmed that the city's financial status is strong enough to proceed with the vaccine procurement. Many municipalities across Thailand have already announced plans to use their own funding to acquire vaccines, such as Nonthaburi and Pakret in Nonthaburi province, Lam Chabang in Chonburi province, Wang Nam Yen in Sakeo province, Rayong, Khon Kaen, and Phuket. And these are just one of the examples here. And meanwhile, Chonburi province found 4 new COVID-19 infections today, which is the lowest daily rise in 3 weeks, bringing the cumulative total in the province to 634. At the same time, the number of new infections from the Siracha beer garden cluster has been decreasing. So that's the current situation in Chonburi. And you can see that Pattaya is the latest place to come up with an idea that they should use their own budget to acquire the vaccines for its peoples, because many of the local governments believe that this will help ease the workload of the main government.
I guess now it's just the process of how they're going to do this procurement, how fast they can do it, but all in all, they have to wait until FDA approve these vaccine, and then they will be able to buy that for their
Definitely.
residents. Talking about vaccine, vaccine from China is the one that Thailand, it's one of several kind that Thailand orders, and it will arrive, the first batch will arrive next month. 200,000 doses, which the government said that they will distribute this vaccine to the medical personnel. But currently, this vaccine is still under the large-scale human trial in many countries, in Brazil, in Indonesia, and also in Turkey. And the latest report from the institution in Brazil actually raised a lot of questions. Because before that, Sinovac, which is the manufacturer of Chinese vaccines, said that the efficacy of their vaccine, Coronavac, is 78%. But the institution in Sao Paulo, Brazil, the institution called Butantan, reported that the Coronavac vaccine had a roughly 50% general efficacy rate. To be exact, the institute said that the vaccine was 50.4% effective in preventing COVID-19 with symptoms ranging from mild to severe. The figure, which indicates how effective a vaccine is in trials, just meets the 50% minimum threshold required by most regulators around the world, but is lower than the 70% recommended by the World Health Organization. The final efficacy rate, the experts said, may be a little higher than 50.4% after company factors in clinical trial data from Indonesia and Turkey. Turkey has said that the vaccine was found to be 91.2% effective based on the study of 1,322 people. But it is small compared to Turkey trial of 12,500 people. So the efficacy rate from these countries so fluctuated. However, Sinovac and Butantan Institute said that Coronavac was found to be 100% effective in preventing severe cases of COVID-19 because no recipients became seriously sick. So if you compare Sinovac with other vaccines, such as mRNA vaccines developed by Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna have the highest efficacy of around 95%, but their side effects, of course, are stronger. The vaccine developed by Oxford AstraZeneca, which is also another one that Thailand placed an order, has an efficacy rate at about 70%, which could be higher after dose adjustment. But experts said that even though it's just 50%, it is still useful. Most scientists were expecting the first generation vaccines to be similar to flu shots, which is in general have an efficacy rate at about 50% as well, meaning they can stop half of the recipients from getting sick, which I think is better than now anyway, better than no vaccine. So besides Thailand, at least there are numbers of other countries and regions that have ordered Sinovac. Like Indonesia signed up for 125.5 million doses. Turkey has also granted emergency use permission to Sinovac vaccine and ordered 50 million doses with 3 million delivered in December. And their inoculation campaign has started. Thailand, of course, ordered 2 million doses from China. And the regulators said that after they see this report of 50.4% efficacy, the decision about their procurement or rollout plans, they have to rethink that those countries are Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines, and also Hong Kong. Hong Kong said they just have to rethink about it. Other orders with Sinovac include 100 million doses for Brazil, 60 million doses for Chile, 14 million ready-to-fill vaccines for Malaysia, and 5 million for Ukraine. So seems like this year, one way or another, people are going to get vaccinated. But whether the real rate of efficacy will be above 50.4 or 70%, but experts said at least 50, it means that half of the recipients will not get sick. So it's better than nothing.
And apart from the efficacy of the vaccines, I think the big question right now is when they will get the vaccines. Although many of the governments, apart from Thailand, but other governments already revealed that they will receive the vaccines during this time. But we will have to see whether the vaccines actually come at a specific time that they already announced.
But I think before they inoculate anyone, Thai government should explain the side effect that might happen to everyone that getting the vaccine too.
And you're right, because like in the United States, there have been cases where some people have already got the vaccine, and there was a case where a doctor fainted after getting the vaccine. So it is also up to the government or those health officials to explain that although you got the vaccine, there might be some side effects that you have to be cautious about.
And this vaccine, like Sinovac, will take, or Pfizer, take 1 to 2 weeks until it becomes effective. So if they get infected between time, even though they already get the vaccine, but they get infected in the first week, they're definitely going to get sick, or not sick,
right,
but infected. So that's all the news we have that related to COVID-19 outbreak in Thailand today. And we will see you guys again on Facebook Live. And if you want to know more about news, not just COVID-19, anything happening in Thailand or in ASEAN country, you can check out our website at thaipbsworld.com, also our Twitter and our Facebook. Until we see you next time, สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ